Now focus on your inability. Why am I unable to handle all these things? So now my reflection is going within. The external situation has no value anymore. All I'm thinking is that why am I unable to handle the outside situation? That means I need improvement, I need refinement over here. And that's when I realized that it's my fault that I got angry. It's nobody else's fault. Overnight the anger disappeared. That means it was something wrong that I was doing. So now focus is on me, that I need an improvement. Not the external situation is something I cannot do anything about it, so I should just accept and then live like that. But that's generating another negative feeling in me. That, I wanted to do it, but I could not do it, to change the surrounding. Yes?
So, Swami Sarupananji says, if you really want to lose anger, decide one thing, on whomsoever you are angry, go and catch their feet. Next time you will never be angry.
What?
Because
Catch their feet. Just bow down to
whomsoever you are angry on them, go and catch their feet. Next time you will never afford to be angry because you know what you have to do after that.
Rajneesh,
That's very difficult.
Yeah.
That's not easy.
That's why. So you will not be angry.
So Rajneesh gives another alternative method. He says that if you get anger next time, that means you have to realize that everything in life is all about energy. We talked about in Science to Samadhi. Everything is energy. Even the anger that has come up is boiling, raging anger, is full of energy. You equate everything to energy. Now the energy has sprung up and it is directed towards someone or some situation, whatever may be the case. That energy, if you allow it to go in that direction, obviously it's going to lead to consequences. But now you want to redirect that energy. He says, whenever you get angry, go, run around the block, use up that energy, or dig a big hole that you always wanted to do and never had a time to do. Whatever you needed to do, gardening or whatever, you channelize your energy, and after 10 minutes you realize that anger is gone. Now it created a distance between your true self and the feeling of the anger, which was directing the whole chariot in that direction. You put Krishna in the charge and Arjun became silent. That's how you should channelize
Say that again.
So Krishna stayed in the charge now. By directing the energy,
Okay. I got it.
Krishna became in charge of the chariot and Arjun became nothing. So your ego went down. So your desire to have the external situation to your favor has gone. Everything is gone. So situation has remained as it is, but your anger is gone. So try that next time. That will channelize your energy. So when we suffer, the suffering that we have in life is only because we think the sansar, the life, the material life that we have will be giving us the pleasure. That is our wrong belief. We never realize that suffering is because we left our true nature. The fish never is realizing that the water itself was the source of pleasure, source of being, source of existence, bliss of existence was already there. But the fish never had to leave that place. And that's exactly that is happening to us. We have left our satisfaction way behind. Now we are looking at the material world to give us the pleasure. And when we don't get pleasures, and one thing does not give me the pleasure, then I look for another thing, and that doesn't, and the third thing. And Leo Tolstoy, he was a great philosopher and author. He wrote that my life has been series of stupidities. I kept on running after one thing to another thing, to another thing, to another thing, and before I know, my life has come to an end. I never realized, and this is a great philosopher writing, at least he had a guts to write and analyze his own life. We don't even have guts to come out and accept it, that is what is happening. Somehow our next project is going to be the final project of our life. Somehow that's going to take us. It has never happened. Rajneesh says that in millions of years of lives, all the human history, even then you can project every single project outside to bring a permanent happiness has failed.
It's It's like breaking a prison, getting into bigger prison.
Bigger prison, right? If it is a bigger prison, we don't know. Another prison, I would say. And at the same time, nobody who has gone within has suffered a failure. Everybody who has sincerely and honestly has gone within has always been successful. And people who have gone outside, all their lives have been wasted. I was watching the documentary by National Geographic on Netflix on Alexander the Great. And look at the series of life that he had gone through is one thing, because his father was very successful, a tyrant king who, organized the whole Greece into, a single kingdom. And then his desire was to win all over the world. So it happened that his father had another wife. The first wife, Olympia, had spread a rumor that she was impregnated by Zeus, the ultimate god, in the form of a snake. And that's how the Alexander was born. So the megalomania was already riding on his head, that he is the son of Zeus, right? And then turned out to be that Philip, his father, had another wife, and that was not uncommon, and he had multiple partners, males and females. In Greece, that was the norm. And then he had another son born through another wife. So obviously the competition was gonna be there, and that would have defeated the purpose, because Alexander had a desire to win the world, just like Philip. Philip wanted to do the same thing. So all the preparations were being made to go on the journey to win the world, and Alexander's name was not even anywhere. So he realized what's going to happen. And he didn't do anything, and we don't know the details. The Philip was killed in a surprise attack by someone. Nobody knows who arranged for it, whether was it Olympia or maybe Alexander, we don't know. But after that, immediately, Alexander was put to the throne. And then he expanded the kingdom like his father wanted. Now, the propaganda that he is the son of Zeus, he had hired a very successful general, Callisthenes, I think was his name. So he made a propaganda that Alexander is this god, and then as their kingdom expanded, then they ultimately won over Egypt, where the pharaohs were considered the descendants of God, and he liked that concept. So with his might, and now he has already won the Egypt, he was assigned to be a pharaoh. So now his megalomania got really even bigger and bigger and bigger, and he kept winning and winning and winning. At some point, what happened was Syria was won, and then as they went further, they needed more and more army to continue their march. So they hired the local Syrians, right? So the Syrians were hired with the lure of positions. So now they had a competition from the Greek soldiers and the Syrian soldiers. So now a lot of people, the Greek soldiers, started hating Alexander. But the reason I'm telling you the story is not related to this, but to some extent it is. So what happened was that there was a lot of disagreements and then a lot of dissatisfaction towards Alexander, because he was giving more importance to the Syrians. And then at one point, the Callisthenes ended up saying, that the guy who was put in charge of publicizing the fact that he was the son of Zeus, that he said that, oh, you are nothing but a shadow of Philip. Because everybody loved Philip, the father. For one reason or the other, they looked at him as a mighty king who unified the Greece. And after all the efforts that Alexander had put, he was still blamed and looked down upon as just the mere shadow of his father, which his ambition was to look better than his father. And he killed Callisthenes, tortured and killed him. The best associate that he had in his army, he killed him. And so then people realized that he's going crazy after. So the ego, his desire to achieve things, how far the ego had taken his life. And yet, we know when he died, he had realized, Dionysius was a very great saint, that he believed in it actually. Because I talked about Dionysius in the past, that Dionysius was a great saint in Greece. And before Alexander set his journey to win the world, he went and met Dionysius. And Diogenes, they had told Diogenes to come to the court, and Diogenes says that I don't take any commands from anyone. And they knew that he's a little weird, but so ultimately Alexander made a point to go and visit Diogenes. Diogenes was soaking in sun, without clothes, and he was so happy. Alexander was boiling with enthusiasm, his energy to kill whatever it takes to reach to the top of the world, and he was setting out his journey. And Diogenes says that, why have you come? He says, I wanted to get some advice from you. How should I fight the war? And then he says, after you fight the war and win the world, what's going to happen? There is only one world. He says, yes, I know that, but I want to win that world anyway. And he says, after that, he says, then I'll be very happy. He says, Diogenes says that I'm happy now. He says, I'm very jealous of you. And next life, if I have a chance, I would rather be Diogenes and be happy. So Diogenes says, what is stopping you? Take your clothes off and join me in the sun bath. This is the best thing to do in life. Alexander had some regrets about starting the whole journey, and then at the end he realized that Diogenes was right. That no matter how much journey you take in the outside world, nobody has been successful. But we are all many examples of Alexanders. That no matter how many previous people have been unsuccessful, I'm going to be the next guy who's going to be successful. Think of your odds. And at the same time, we neglect the fact that everybody who has gone within has come out with the happy faces. But we don't want to look into that. We want to change the world. We want to change the friends. We want to change our positions in the society. We want to achieve this. All these efforts have no value. That does not mean you don't act in the world. But let Krishna act through you. You become the vehicle. Drop your ego. So no one can become what they are not. This efforts should be on being, not becoming. Becoming is something that you're trying to be something else than what you are. But if you don't even know who you are, how are you going to accept anything else? So becoming is the norm. The society runs on becoming. Somebody who is poor wants to be rich. Somebody who is very rich wants to be famous, wants to have his name hung everywhere. Somebody who is living in Bombay wants to live in Himalayas. Somebody living in Himalayas wants to live in Bombay. Shrut Pragnaji has a beautiful example. He says the guy gets fed up with Bombay life. He says, what this is nonsense. You wake up in the morning, there's traffic and there's dirt everywhere. People are running like crazy. Nobody has time to say hello to each other. I hate this and that. He goes to the Himalayan mountains to have some peace. And then he talks to the villagers over there. Oh, you came from Bombay. I wish I could go to Bombay someday. So they are not happy where they are. People are not happy where they are. Who is happy? Nobody is happy. Only the people who find who they are will be the happiest people. And in that direction, we have never worked on. Because we think that doing this is going to bring me pleasure. Doing that is going to bring me pleasure. So the art is to learn how to be, not to become. So once there is a story of Jesus. He was traveling and he went to one village and everybody was so unhappy. So he asked them, say, why are you unhappy? He says, we are worried about hell, the nark. What will happen if we all end up after death, what we all end up in a hell. There will be so much suffering, as we have been told that in the hell there is a lot of suffering. And Jesus said, I feel sorry for you. So he moves on. He goes to another village and people were also unhappy. He says, why are you unhappy? He says, we are worried how to reach to heaven. Because what should we do in our life so that we reach heaven? Jesus says, I feel sorry for you too. And the third village he reaches, everybody is so happy. He says, why are you so happy? He says, we don't have any worry about nark. We don't have worry about swarg. Our swarg and nark, everything is right here. We are happy to be what we are. The true happiness is in the present moment. The present moment is your gateway into Paramatma. Paramatma is here. He's in you, he's in me. Palpate him. Palpate him. Feel him. He's right there. He's talking to you. Only if you stop talking. Kabir says, "Ye hai sakri gali." Sakri gali is there is a one-way communication. If you are there, he's not there. If he's there, you are not there. You are the obstruction in the way. You stop talking, you stop singing your dirty tunes, then the beautiful divine music is gonna fall. Right after that, it's an instantaneous thing. The divinity is full of energy. Divinity cannot rest. You see, every single thing happening is being created. Whether even in your sleep, you are being created. People sleeping, people waking, day to day, every single day, the lives are being born, lives are being taken away, the seedlings are being born. Nothing is static. The divinity is on its way. The creation is happening. Every microsecond the creation is happening. There is no way you can figure it out. It is happening. We just don't have faith. But that's why we keep on babbling. We think that we are this and we are that and all that. So we have to stop. The knowledge that we have accumulated all these years, we need only one knowledge. And that knowledge is that we don't know anything. You bow down to Paramatma and you stop thinking that you are something. When you realize that state, the divinity is going to flow. It's going to fill up the gap. As soon as the vacuum, there is no vacuum in the world. Everything, the divinity is infinite, universal, omnipotent, omnipresent. So whatever vacuum you think that you are afraid of, that what if I lose this knowledge? What if I am not that? What if I am not this? Or for that, what will happen? If that emptiness is not empty. There is nothing empty in the world. That's not emptiness. Emptiness is emptiness only if you equate to the material things. You are afraid. I have a patient. He comes to me, every few months. He is suffering from depression, and I put him on some antidepressants and all that. And he listens to a lot of our lectures and all that, and he understands. He reads a lot of spiritual books and all that. But still, that concept of nothingness does not get into his head. He says that, yes, I agree with you, Dr. Shah. We should be the true observers and this and that. But I believe, and again, the belief is a problem. I believe that emptiness will make me idle. And then I will not be making any efforts to make a living for my wife, my children. They don't understand that emptiness and Paramatma are two different things. Because when you say emptiness means you are missing the material. So when the matter is in your mind, when matter is not, it's an emptiness. But from being afraid of emptiness, if you don't make any efforts, then you are not going to start your journey even. So you are only scratching the surface of spirituality. You understanding the concept of spirituality, but doesn't mean anything. It's only a concept. It's only a belief. Until you actually take the journey and realize that there is no emptiness. Whatever emptiness that you call emptiness is filled with divinity. It's filled with grace of God. And it's there. Never fails. Once you take that journey, you will realize that it is there. But we just don't have a faith in it. That's why Rajni says, Shabd and Nishabd. How, like in the Sindhi literature, right? They say that Nishabd. So Nishabd is what we should practice, right? But that's like negativistic thing. It's not wrong. But that's the way to lure people for whom Shabda is important. Words are important, right? Because then all of a sudden the words disappear and the silence comes in. Now people who love to talk, for them Nishabda is like boring. That silence is so boring. But they don't realize the power of silence. So at some point in other literature, they call the divinity as Shabda. The Shabda is of God. That's when God is speaking. So Shabda and Nishabda, it's all state of mind. When I'm getting you from material angle into the spirituality, I want you to become Nishabda. But once you really practice nishabda, then you start hearing the shabda of God. So there's two different interpretations, but that's where it makes sense. So emptiness is not emptiness. It's full of divinity. We just have to practice and realize what it is. So we have to move on. So the